which I did mostly just because I wanted the action to not be interrupted by your eye leaving the page to like go back to the other side to start the next line, or just because they were so small that I figured like I couldn't even find where the next line would even begin, so it went back and forth. This is the next book. Oh yeah, this is the next book. This somehow landed in my senior show, which wasn't really my senior show because I didn't ever graduate, but somehow I snuck into the senior show. And my main project was actually like this piñata full of dead animals that I launched at the crowd, which made this little kid puke in a bush, I guess. But I had to have some other thing in there, so I put this book in there, and I titled it Maggots, which is a title I would use later for other things. So this is probably like, I don't know, 94, 95, something like that. It's just adventures. I like this book. This is the next book after that one. So at this time, again, I was just drawing in old sketchbooks. Like, all my drawings took place in books that I'd found. This book was given to me by a friend of mine. It was an old catalog of, it was like a Japanese catalog of other books. So it was full of these little characters. This photo is actually, the real one is on the right, and the one that PictureBox put out, Dan put out a facsimile of it, is on the left. And I don't know. Could have gotten those whites a little brighter, but it looks all right. And this is stuff from that book. I mean, I get this one. I was really into. My big revelation for this was not doing the pure blacks, like just kind of getting some texture in the blacks, and you can see all the Japanese characters coming through, which I thought looked pretty cool. That's a big bug. It's completely inconsequential to the story, which again, I wasn't doing stories. I was my main rule was that like if I was going to draw that day, like the character had to end up just sort of doing nothing by the time I finished, because I didn't want to have to think about anything the next day. So like usually like it started, each day's effort of comics would start with the character standing there and end with the character standing there. I try to have him do something in between, writing some eyeballs around. This is the next book. So that book was actually published in 2006 by PictureBox. This is the next book. This one is a copy of the Spanish Inquisition, which I thought would be fun to draw over the Spanish Inquisition, written in English, because I thought I would like absorb something. But all I ended up doing, you can't really see here, but I just ended up scribbling out all the English characters because they just looked so crappy. They were just too bold and too stiff. The thing that I started doing here that was different, like there's always like little revelations with drawing, is that I started using a blue pen. I'm right-handed, so I would have the same old rapidograph that I used way back when and pretty much still use today in my right hand, and I would have a blue like ballpoint pen in my left hand. And I would, I'd use the blue pen some, mainly just, I don't know why. I thought I was drawing too good. Well, I was so pro that I wanted the left hand to interrupt what the right hand was doing, because I, wanted to get some crudeness back into it, which, of course, looking back, I don't think I needed to get crudeness back into it. But so, this is more from that book. So I did 100 pages in this book. And I got to like around this point where there were like, I don't know, 30 characters and these like squished ships, and they were all hanging out, and I was scribbling out all the letters, and then I just kind of gave up. So this book remains unfinished and kind of half destroyed, but I'm pretty psyched about it. And one exciting thing about this book is somewhere in that pile of characters, if and oof are in there, kind of to the right, halfway up the page, like in a little bit, but whatever. I think that was their first appearance of these mysterious characters named If and Oof. This was the next book I did. This went back to Japanese characters. I got about 60 pages in that, and I gave up. So that's the end of the book era. Somewhere around 95, which some of these books overlap with, I moved into this place, a warehouse, which became known as Fort Thunder. This was the only way in. Just kidding. But this is like Fort Thunder and maybe 95. Those are some of my roommates, probably around 96. That's probably Fort Thunder in like 99 or something. For some reason I thought it was really smart to fill my room with leaves. for a few months. I don't know, somewhere near the end of Fort Thunder. So it was basically a warehouse. I don't know I know some people know about it and other people don't, but it's a warehouse. This all takes place in Providence, Rhode Island. And it was just a big spot where we just filled with garbage, basically, and whatever we could find. It was about 8,000 square feet. I had about 24 people come and go over the years, and I was in that room for almost 6 years every day. I kind of thought it was the only place to be. It kind of was. That's Fort Thunder in like 2002. And maybe like in 2003, I sort of started trying to spread it around, what was left of it. But the building was destroyed, so that's the telephone pole where I was sticking some stuff. Same pole in winter. I was growing a tomato plant out of a little box, but didn't make it through the winter. This next little group of stuff are some zines that people were making at the time. Matt Brinkman, my freshman roommate, this was a zine he made like in freshman year, which had a big impact on me, just his use of black. He's a fantastic illustrator then and still is. This is another one of his books, Oaf. He has reminded me that my book, If and Oof, might be a ripoff of Oaf. He's basically done everything first. That's inside Oaf. This is one of my roommates, Leif Goldberg. Oldberg is the name of the book. Great book. I'm sure you'll never see it. Jim Drain's Panic Attack. Jim Drain, also known as... Oh, wait, no, Alias Face? I don't know. He told me his name was Jim Drain. This was a compilation we did. We were making a lot of books out of Fort Thunder with silkscreen covers and ripped-off Xerox interiors. Brian Ralph, another roommate. Christopher over here put out a compilation called Burning. It's the cover of that. I had a thing in there. Clever little introduction page that Christopher dreamed up. Ben Jones. This is like one of my all-time favorites of his early zines. I just was blown away because he was using like a white pen or something, or whiteout pen on black. It blew my mind. So then I got in the game and I made 4 issues, which I titled Maggots, sometime in the 90s. And they were just excerpts from my very first comic sketchbook. And then around 2000, some of the dudes, basically Leif and Matt, made this Paper Rodeo magazine, or newspaper. And it was the thing that actually got me out of drawing in books, because I didn't put anything in the first issue because I thought it was a bad idea, but I definitely put something in the second issue because it was so cool. But since they started doing Paper Rodeo, I started drawing on paper, and I ditched the books and I did paper because I suddenly wanted to reproduce stuff. So these are some paper comics, which I've also not seen the light of day. Here's a big stack of just drawings on paper. I'm really into stacks. So I have stacks and stacks of same size drawings. Roommates. It's me and Christopher, young Christopher, cleaning a cat. It's the only picture I have of me and Christopher. I'd throw it in there. This is a quick... I do some soul screening and art stuff too. I thought I'd throw a few of these in there. They look kind of cool like that, huh? I like that one. I'm not even going to go there. I also play in a band. I play drums. Some people know. Some people maybe don't know. Occasionally you hit your knuckles on the side of the snare drum. This is like way back in the, in the 90s. The band's called Lightning Bolt. This was probably like around 2000, and this was like this summer, so we're huge now. No, usually it still looks like this. Occasionally someone tricks someone into letting us on a big stage. These are some later mini comics, which are, mini comics, but still kind of big ones, that Dan published as a book. This was my first big published book. How am I doing on time? Am I losing it? All right, I got a couple more, but it's called Ninja. It's made up of these and more. It was initially, the idea was, these were Ninja comics I drew when I was a little kid, around 11. And then I later on started drawing like kind of sequels to those. and it uses some of the characters from them, and it goes off in a whole bunch of new places. And I sort of added some other information into those early comics. But I don't know. Most people think it looks really cool, and then most people probably haven't read it. Looks cool, though. Those are those superhero lists. Some of those guys got in there. Some of the supervillains are now cops in the new Ninja world. These are a couple more minis from, I don't know, 5 years. I can't remember. A couple years ago. There's some interiors of those. And this is my latest book, If and Oof. Hooray. If and Oof, they've first appeared in that sketchbook or they first appeared in this mini. Matt Brinkman, again, was making these other tiny little comics. And I wanted to get in the game. And I made those two, Rabbit Slug and If and Oof. But all the rest are his. Mortician's Lair is exceptionally good if you can track down a copy. I think there's 20 of them. Good luck. This was the first If and Oof appearance. And back then the relationship in If and Oof was basically If was a jerk and Oof was just a ball. So If wanted to get an apple down and he threw Oof to get it down. So they've changed now. They're very happy with each other. You can't really tell what's going on because that's the mock-up and it's not linear. And speaking of mock-ups, to make If and Oof, this last little bit is just like a little bit about If and Oof. To make the book, I got it in my head that I had to make kind of mock-ups of every chapter. So I have this pile of like glue stick together books. So this spread right here is actually 2 pages that got eliminated. It was an earlier mock-up. So every time I would change a chapter, I'd make this another huge, like 120-page glue stick thing. So I have a stack of these kind of ridiculous mock-up books. This kind of gives you a relationship of like drawing sizes. A lot of the stuff I drew small. The stuff in the top right corner is really small, and it's blown up about 200%. And then some of the stuff I drew larger. I've always been a big fan of like going to Kinko's and blowing shit up on the photocopier. So I kind of stuck with it for this. I thought it looked good to kind of bulk out my line a little bit. Here are some pages from the book. This is where I like realize I've been recycling my ideas and in a cleaner way. So before someone else points it out to me, I thought I'd point it out to you. That's the end of the 1996 book that was printed in 2006. And my final comic project lately is Puke Force. It's a webcomic on PictureBox.com. It what?
PictureBox Inc.
Oh yeah, Inc. PictureBoxInc.com. You can see it up there in the corner. Don't forget to say Inc. Rolls off the tongue. Yeah, so Puke Force is a continuation of the characters from Ninja. Kind of. It's tangent-oriented. Here's a page. The Tea Party blows up a coffee shop. This is the aftermath. There's a series of these final conversations where it's like people hanging out outside the coffee shop, and then the last frame they explode. That's the joke. I guess it's a joke. This is a fire outside my house. This is a flood near my house. Here's some guys that live in my house. This is some shit I found growing in the garden outside. He was in the garden outside. And that is the end.
That was good. Yeah. That one worked.
That one translated all right.
Okay. Well, we're running a little late, so actually I think we'll just, rather than me asking questions that I already know the answer to, I'll just let you guys ask questions. So we'll throw it open to the floor, assuming there are any questions.
Feel free to not ask
If
questions.
not, I'll just grill them.
Are you asking a question? We'll start with this. We'll start with whoever's closest to the mic.
I'm closest. It's me. I have a question for Christopher. I've seen your comics for a long time and known you for a while, and